Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football Podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and I'm just delighted to be joined today by JJ Bull the Bullet.
Hello.
Hello there, how are you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah? Excited for today's show?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be just like normal.
Me too. Also, Google Gaga, it's Reuben, the baby boy Pinder. There he is.
I'm not John, so I'm not going to do the noise back. But
No.
hello, how are you?
I respect you for that, you know?
Yeah.
John thinks he's a great guy. Not here today, obviously he's on holiday. Thinks he can take a holiday. He can. He's fine.
Legally entitled to it.
Legally entitled
I
to a
prefer
holiday.
super sub in this context.
I think you're a super sub, but also I respect you that you wouldn't give me just one little wang.
I respect you too. I'm not doing it. Move on.
Okay, fine. Well, there we go. We're joined by Reuben and JJ today for a bumper-packed show full of excitement and misery. And let's begin with the misery. Now, I'll tell you what's happening in the show a little bit later. But before we get there, last week I promised you an announcement. Now, can we just look at JJ's face on the camera for a second there? Yeah. And then back to me. If you're watching the video, that should give you some level of anticipation for what I'm... How long can I drag this out for? For what I'm about to say.
Quite long. You're about to do something quite big.
If you haven't been watching the video, you're just listening to the audio, you know, missing out, guys. This has been a great product. And bean is the important word there. I'm winging this. It's going okay.
I like it so far.
Yeah. The Tifo Football Podcast, in its current form, makeup, style, design, is dead.
Joe's killing it.
Well, actually, that's true. It's not dead yet.
Yeah.
Because we're doing it now.
Strangling it slowly.
I'm slowly strangling it, and it will be dead. Last gasp's gone. By our last official show is the 5th of June. That's when we record it. That's the actually
3rd of June is when we record.
We record.
The final recorded.
No, I think you're wrong.
Monday, 3rd of June.
I think Monday is the 5th of June. I think it goes out on the 6th of
doing it
June.
again.
Yeah, you're doing it again, aren't you? Yeah.
That's
Now
why
you see why we have to kill the show.
That's why we're killing it.
But yeah, our last official show will be will release on Tuesday, the 6th of June. And look, listen, there are plenty of reasons why we're doing it. One of them is talent availability. I mean, come on. Look, we've got this. How can you do a podcast with 2 grown men and a baby? It's like it doesn't.
It's a good name for a podcast.
2 grown men. It's quite a good name for a podcast. It doesn't work though, because on account of how tiny and small his brain is, because he's only a little baby. No, it's nothing. It's nothing to do with Reuben.
You're referring
Pinder.
to Reuben there, yes.
He's been a delight, Reuben Pinder. He's been a delight. This is one of the reasons why it's sad to let it go, because imagine what he could have become when he grew up.
He was just starting to get somewhere.
He was.
But we're going to hold that down just deliberately to hinder your career.
I think so,
That's one of the main reasons, I think.
That's one of the main reasons.
Yeah.
Another one of the main reasons is we've been doing this for a long time. This podcast has been going in one form or another, mostly this one, for 7 years. I think it's been in this form since the 2018 World Cup, maybe just before that. So for a good 5 years, we've been running as an off-the-weekend football podcast. And, you know,
Seb isn't even on it anymore.
Seb's not on it anymore. He's tired. And I don't think we've really explained why, but Seb lives in Germany. You know, he loves it out there. He lives out there with his wife. And he sort of maintained doing the podcast with us for a while, but it's no fun to be the video link guy when you're linking into a room full of people having a nice time. There's that half a second delay.
And we
Seb's
need
not
Seb.
a funny guy.
He does all the
anyway.
nice colour.
He's the only one who knows. Apart from tactics, he's the guy who knows everything.
Yeah.
So he's gone. The show's worse because of that. John's terrific, great guy. Not even here.
He texted me and he said, remember to ask Joe what he would do if he found an actual mermaid, half fish, half person on the beach.
Right, is that why you asked me that before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did we conclude what we were going to do?
I think I said I was going to call the police.
Yeah. And I asked him what if it was screaming for help.
I still call them. It's just all about accountability for
If
me.
it's screaming for help and it's a person, it just has half a body of a fish.
Yeah.
This mermaid's done nothing wrong. That's just
You don't know what it's done. Maybe they cast it away from Mermaid Society.
guilty until proven innocent, is it now?
Well,
This poor mermaid. Just lob it back in the sea.
Yeah, we want to kill it while it's hot. We want to kill it while it's hot.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like the
So
mermaids
we're all
you found dying on the beach.
However, two things now, important things to mention. We're not actually killing the show. We're just killing the show format. And by that, I mean JJ, me, and John, and it was Seb, now occasionally Reuben Pinder, gathering on a Monday after the weekend to talk about the weekend of football. Steve Hankey put his hand up there as well to say, and me.
He's quite a crucial.
It was embarrassing for both of us,
Very
wasn't it?
symbolic of that.
Gathering up for the weekend to talk about the football that has happened. That's the thing that's going to go. And part of the reason for that is that I feel like we've taken that format as far as we can. I feel like we've done a good job of that. What do you think?
I think we've done a fine job.
Done a fine job of
The
that.
podcast has been more fun now that we know we're going to kill it.
Yeah. Now, you may be sad, but you, because everything dies, okay? Everything and everyone dies. You will die. Everyone you know will die, yeah? And this is going to happen to you again and again. It's going to happen again and again. You like a TV show, it's going to get cancelled, yeah? You like a book, well, there won't be another one, yeah?
You know when we spoke about doing this in a positive way?
Oh, yeah. Here's a positive thing, Steve Hankey, to bring this all to a close now, yeah? There'll be one final show. What about that? Tell us about it, JJ. Where is it?
Oh, the show, the actual show.
The show.
Well, because we have worked so hard over so long, we've managed to get ourselves booked into a little venue.
Oh yeah, how big is it? How little is it?
I can't remember the cap, but
I think there's 400 tickets.
oh, geez, oh,
That's quite a lot,
there's
isn't
quite
it?
a lot of people will be there.
Yeah.
If anyone buys tickets,
Well,
now that you've told them to off. But yeah, we're gonna play.
Oops.
Oh, geez, we're gonna do a podcast live, the last ever show, like in this form before it changes to be more exciting. At Leicester Square Theatre.
Oh yeah, isn't
In
that
sunny
exciting?
London town.
In London town. In June it will be sunny as well.
It will be lovely, yeah.
Leicester Square Theatre, June the 7th, Wednesday, June the 7th. You'll even get to see Baby Boy Pinder. He'll be at the back.
He'll be doing work.
switching
We've made him
the
do.
lines. Yeah, he'll be actually working. Listen, tickets for this show, and it is the last show, I can promise you that, go on sale at midday today, and that's the day of release of the podcast, Tuesday, the 25th of April, midday UK time. So we're announcing it before the tickets are on sale. Everyone has a sort of bit of a, theoretically, an even chance of getting them there.
Assuming everyone listens to the podcast at 9 a.m. on Tuesday.
Well, indeed, yeah. And those that don't will suffer. They may well suffer. What can you say?
Yeah.
But it is literally the last show. And you'll see Seb Stafford-Bloor. You'll see John McKenzie. You'll see JJ Bull. You'll see aforementioned Reuben Pinder at the back. You'll see myself. And you'll see a couple of other special guests as well. It will be the only one ever. And I am partly saying that to get you to buy tickets. But it does also happen to be true. So it's one of those nice things, one of those nice times when the reality also creates an urgency. It will be the last one ever.
It does sound like a marketing thing we might, or you specifically might do to try and sell tickets, but it is not one of those.
It is not, yeah.
Because I have
People
had
are
many discussions with you.
People are
about
definitely
this.
expecting another date to be announced when it sells out in 2 minutes.
Yeah, there won't be
It
a
won't
second
sell
date.
out, yeah.
There's no second date. We're only doing it because it's fun, yeah? That's it. That's literally the only reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you just want to sit on the stage.
Yeah, I want a bigger chair than you,
Yeah.
so I can sit higher.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what's on the show today. On the show today, we talk about Arsenal Southampton. Very exciting. Yeah. How about that there? What else have we got? We're going to preview Arsenal Manchester City, which happens on Wednesday. That's also very exciting. We'll talk about that one. Goodness gracious me, Newcastle United did a hammeroo of Spurs over the weekend. Unexpected, but interesting. We'll discuss. And of course, the FA Cup occurred, as well as Wrexham being promoted, and somehow Aberdeen have been snuck into the plan. Didn't see that earlier. They're there now, aren't they? Was it you or Steve?
A bit of both, actually.
A bit of both. You did a double sneak.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
impressive.
it is interesting.
The SPL table is in here.
Wow.
Wow.
SPFL.
Well, it says SPL in the plan.
Well, that's factually
Oh, they
correct.
added an F in, did they?
Did they add an
It's
F?
the Premiership.
What does
these
F
days.
stand for?
Football?
Yeah.
Could you keep that in?
Yeah.
The Scottish Premier League.
Scottish Premiership League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Premiership still?
Yeah, it's Premiership.
They kept Premiership.
They've changed it all around. It's been Premier League and Scottish Premier League and Scottish Premiership. It's Premiership.
It's Premiership.
It does
okay,
annoy me
fine.
when people call the English Premier League the Premiership.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
What about if they're referring to the time when it was hence
more acceptable.
That's fine.
Yeah. When was the
Interesting.
cut-off point? Like,
I don't know. When
Late
was the cut-off
noughties?
point?
I would guess 2007.
I
Yeah.
was going to say 2006. Yeah, will Steve find out for us? My older
Probably a bit
members
wrong,
of
but yeah,
my
sure.
older members of my family say Premiership. And I think that's kind of okay because they're sort of trapped in a period of time, aren't they?
That feels like something Damien would say.
Damien does say Premiership. Yeah, he does say. Uncle Damien says Premiership all the time.
Does he?
But his football team are often
I quite like that.
not in the Premiership. So I mean, they're never in the Premiership, but they're not in the Premier League very often.
In the Championship.
They're in the Championship, and that's got a ship at the end. And I feel like that's fine.
do you remember when the highlights went to ITV for a season and
I
they called
do.
it the Premiership? And they had
Yes.
U2 Beautiful Day as the theme tune.
Oh,
That
yes.
was class.
Yeah,
That's one of those songs that makes me feel uneasy when I hear it. That and Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol. Like I feel
Yeah.
genuinely sick when I hear the intro.
Har har
It's the
har.
bung, 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 bung,
Yeah.
bung. And I'm like,
Why do they make you feel so uncomfortable?
there's something about it. It's
FMJ.
I dislike it so strongly that it makes me feel weird.
Do you know, I used to think that too, and then I, listened to it again. It is a good song.
I bet it's nice to listen to it now, but
Yeah.
when there used to be radio, maybe we used to listen to that all the
Oh,
time, and it was
God.
everywhere.
It was everywhere.
Like I don't have to. I play in a wedding band sometimes, and sometimes I would go back home, and the other guys in the band want to play these songs I've never heard of because they have radio on in their office or something. like
Right,
that. But they're
yeah.
like saying it's massive. How have you not heard this? I'm like, because I don't have to listen to.
I
radio
bet
anymore.
you'd do a good Snow Patrol though. Just give us. If I lay here, give us a line in Scottish accent. No, come on, do it seriously. Come on.
No,
A folly here. Come on, give it to us. Come on.
no. Well,
You've got a beautiful voice.
if
I want
you
the
do
audience
want to
hear
hear
you sing
JJ
it.
play,
That's true.
cover some pop songs though.
what we're doing
That's
chasing
true.
cars though.
Where is it?
In the Flower Pot in Walthamstow. I'm playing on Friday the 28th.
Friday the 28th of April.
I'm not doing any football chat. I'm not doing any comedy. It's just me playing cover songs.
By
for
football
a few
chat, you
hours.
mean if someone comes up to you and asks you about football, you'll chat to them about it. You're just
Yeah.
not doing that on the stage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
And
be
what will
playing
you? Can you give us a preview of what you will do on stage?
covers. Most of the Eagles back catalogue.
Hold on,
probably.
I'll do some backing music for you, and you can sing. Okay.
Okay.
Bum, 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 bum.
If I found a mermaid on the beach, would I help it in its time of need?
Is that what?
If the mermaid was screaming for help, would I assist it or kick it in the head until it died? Kill the mermaid. Throw it back in the sea.
That's quite. No, you're
the
on
laws
something there.
of humans
Kill
do not
the
apply to
mermaid.
the mermaids.
Throw it back in the sea.
Would it count as a murder?
Okay.
Because it's a
Scales
murder.
are the money.
Would it count as a
Zip,
murder?
zip.
It's half a person,
Well,
half a fish.
it doesn't exist.
It would, as we discussed with the pet, right? So if you have a pet that dies, you don't go to jail. But if you killed a
I think if you
mermaid,
killed a mermaid, it would count as a murder. Yeah.
how would they know it
Well,
was?
it's the same as
So it was
like.
the FA Carling Premiership from 1993.
Was it?
And then it became Barclaycard Premiership 2001, 2004.
Yeah.
And then it was the Barclays Premier League from 2007. So the ship.
It was
ended
2007.
2007.
Excellent.
Very well done.
Actually, that's really interesting. And also, what's interesting is I think in lots of other magical lore, if you kill a humanoid type creature, it is considered a murder. If you were to kill a centaur,
What
for
if you kill an
example-
orc in one of these like shows you like?
Well, orcs don't count. No.
they look human though.
No, yeah, but they're not. They're kind of made in the ground. They're not real. Orcs aren't
Made
real.
in the ground?
Yeah, where they make them in the ground with the sauce and the soil. You know when they make them in the ground with the magic
So
soil.
orcs are like vegetables. They're like
Basically.
vegetable people.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, right.
That's not
I
true.
haven't seen Lord of the Rings in a
I
very
think they're
long time.
actually.
Sounded
I think
believable.
they're supposed to be elves from centuries ago that were made bad.
But if
And
you did-
like an elf that went off.
Yeah.
What else did we talk about in today's show? That's probably it. That's about it.
Let's
yeah.
just do cool hands warm embrace. Mention your mouth.
Don't tell me what to do, Steve.
My advice.
Don't
would be-
you tell me what to do. Thank you.
No worries.
I will now leave you in the warm hands and the cool embrace of the dentist's father, who was also a dentist. My dentist's father, Mr. Dr. Dentist, who removed one of my wisdom teeth unexpectedly the other day and has left me with a large open wound in my mouth. So if you see me a little bit quieter than normal today, a little bit less aggressive on the uptake, it's because I don't want to dislodge the clot that's formed in the open wound for fear of developing what they call as dry root? Not dry root, dry... Can't remember what it's called. Anyway, apparently it's one of the most painful things you can get. So I also haven't smoked for 3 days, and I am addicted to nicotine, so I am...
You haven't smoked for 3 days?
Yeah, and I'm pretty mad about it, to be honest. I know I'm doing a good job right now, but I'm kind of losing.
Are you coping with that?
I'm not coping. I'm really not.
Is it
I've
dry
decided to
socket?
kill the whole show because of dry socket. Yeah, dry socket. You don't want to get dry socket.
Do not image search either. Ooh.
Do not image search dry socket. Do it. I haven't smoked for 3 days. I don't know if I think I've told people I'm a smoker before. It's a terrible habit. Please don't do it. Although I want to, but yeah, it's not good for me. I feel like I'm in a dream. Well. Arsenal 3 Southampton. Now, I asked you, JJ, last week, have they gone with it? And you said maybe, yeah. Now, it feels more like that.
It does feel quite ominous, doesn't it?
And Southampton scored almost instantly in the game.
But 28 seconds, I think it is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, obviously for Arsenal fans, not funny, but it is quite like this.
It's objectively funny.
When you come to a game, you're like, no, we've not bottled it, all this kind of language that's been going on.
Yeah.
And then you go into a game, and then you are losing to the team that's bottom of the league within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's quite funny.
Yeah.
Because then that shows that you've not...
Can we get a baby call on this? Baby call? What do you think? Bottle, no bottle?
No bottle, but
Baby doesn't want bottle. Carry.
That's fine. And Aaron Ramsdale seems to be, because he's been one of their best players all season, really important to how they've played. And it's the thing you can't work out. Is it a psychological issue that he's passing the ball straight to Southampton players who are pressing high up the pitch? Do they know that
I
Arsenal
think
starting
so.
to wobble?
I think so.
You think it's psychological?
It's the manner of the defeats, because if it's very reminiscent of when Liverpool finished like a point behind City in 2019, the season they won the Champions League. You remember that game where Stones cleared the ball off the line and they were essentially like 10 millimetres away from winning the Premier League.
Yeah.
But when you do have a lead and then you start dropping points, especially when you go 2 goals up against West Ham and Liverpool, and then you go 2 goals down to Southampton, that indicates some sort of psychological element to it. Mm-hmm. Especially because I think Southampton took kick-off, pumped the ball up to Arsenal's end of the pitch, and then as Arsenal tried to play out, that was where the first goal came from. And it wasn't a confident pass. It was the wrong pass to make.
Yeah.
It was just very silly.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
silly.
I guess it also perhaps exposes a couple of things. I mean, John talked about Arsenal's defending a few weeks ago, but also Saliba has been injured, won't return for Wednesday's game against Manchester City. Rob Holding's been playing. Arsenal have had various other injuries as well, so it does expose perhaps one of the squad issues with squad depth that Arsenal have. But do you think there's anything going on tactically, or do you agree with Reuben, JJ? You think it's just maybe they're understandably inside their own heads a little bit more than they were a few weeks ago?
Well, you could look at the other side of it and say they went down early, but then they also had the mental fortitude to fight back and get to 3-3.
Yeah.
And when it looked like, it's 3-1 down, you're thinking that's not very... The league's probably gone now. What are we going to do? Because you get Manchester City coming up on Wednesday, and that's obviously huge. So there's that side of it. I don't think it's tactical. It is just that different players do different things in different games.
I think they were only 2-0 down, by the way. Then 2-1, then 3-1.
3-1, yeah.
But carry on, yeah.
They're coming back to 3-all.
The only reason I'm interrupting you is so that 15 people don't leave a comment saying the exact thing.
Yeah, and I can already see what they're going to say, yeah. Okay, so it's not the tactical part of it, it's just that the players aren't there. Saliba makes a huge difference. Like, the best teams are built off a really good goalkeeper and really good defenders, and you can see the difference. And I can't remember the numbers, but I saw it earlier. The win percentage with Saliba in the team is much higher than without. He's been amazing. One of the best defenders in the league this season. Comfortably has made them solid at the back, can play out from the back, is confident, and you can see that the partnership with Gabriel works much better when he's there. Well, the partnership works because he's there.
Yeah.
But then it's just different when you put Rob Holding in. A fine squad player, but you can't maybe rely on him for all the bits and pieces you need. I think he gets beaten for one of the headers, I think at the near post for a corner.
He's not an elite centre-back.
Probably not. And I think, he's playing Premier League level though, right? So
yeah,
but he's not the extra bit, which is what Saliba is. Yeah. Like Saliba, you could drop him into Man City, you could drop him into Real Madrid or something like that, and he could play for those teams. But Rob Holding probably not.
Yeah.
So it's not that he's not like he's a bad player.
He's still obviously absolutely amazing at football.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just the small bits, like not attacking a corner aggressively enough, for example, or just losing your man for a very quick second because maybe you're just not quite sure where you're meant to be.
I believe they call it the margins.
Yes. Well.
Yes.
And that could be it. So that's one of the differences. And you saw when Tierney came in to replace Zinchenko.
Sean Connery has entered the room there, by the way. Yes, well.
Yeah, well, yeah, he did. He's left again, though, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe you're telling me he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll stay on track. Zinchenko was replaced by Tierney last week, and then Tierney made passes inside the pitch that were getting picked off because he's not the same player as Zinchenko. So you just see the bit of the squad depth difference that you're saying between Arsenal and teams like Man City, where Arsenal have had mostly the same 11 for most of the season. They've started to try and rotate and they've added some players in January.
Yeah.
Whereas Man City have the benefit now of coming into really good form, starting to play an 11 most weeks now, having rotated everyone all season long. And they're coming.
Now, Granit Xhaka also missed the game, JJ.
Yes.
What do you think about that? And he was a very important player.
Well, did he miss it because he was injured as being rested? I don't know.
I mean, he may miss the Man
I think.
City game.
Bit of
Fever.
bit of
Fever.
Yeah, they did miss him on the left.
Friday night fever or
Yeah.
dance floor fever?
Well,
What
there you
kind
go.
of
That's got a huge loss because then he kind of runs the show. Like Odegaard takes the team on his shoulders and carries them to win games. Xhaka keeps things going in the middle of the pitch. He's been really important for them. Different kind of character and profile, like really aggressive. Fabio Vieira's not like that.
Yeah.
So just having someone in the middle who you know might put in a hard challenge on you, might make you do something different now and again.
Yeah.
Whereas Fabio Vieira is very technically good, but maybe doesn't quite have that. It doesn't seem quite. He's not quite aligned with what they're trying to do straight away.
Yeah.
He's very
He'll
new.
be good later, I think.
He's new to the team as well,
Yeah.
isn't he? And like Xhaka knits up that left side of the pitch really well when Zinchenko moves in and he goes out, and kind of those rotations.
Yeah.
They work really well when he plays, and they missed him pretty badly.
Yeah.
But you can see the pressure starts to build with this now, which makes Wednesday's game, obviously it was enormous anyway, but the points gap is just gone. And the lead, it feels, I mean, it's not exactly the same at all before anyone goes at me, but like, remember Keegan's Newcastle just fell apart at the very end? It's a bit like that.
Well, let's talk about that game on Wednesday then, because David Ornstein at The Athletic did report on Monday that William Saliba will also be missing for Wednesday's game. Here's a little bit from The Athletic as well. Saliba was ever present in the top flight before his setback. Across his 27 appearances, Arsenal conceded an average of 0.9 goals per match compared to 1.8 without him.
Yeah.
Which are double, you know. Also, Tomiyasu is missing. And Nathan Ake is the only Man City player missing. I mean, I don't know.
The only thing Arsenal can cling on to here to really give them some hope is how does City adapt to the absence of Ake? Because all season, pretty much, he's been playing on that outside centre-back without a real left-back or left-wing-back, because it's Grealish in that kind of unique 3-2-4-1. And now their options are put Laporte there, who's a little bit less mobile than Ake, a little bit less quick, and just hope it kind of works because he can theoretically play that position. Or I was thinking, do they bring Rico Lewis back in and do that inverted thing that they tried with him? Bernardo Silva's played there, he didn't enjoy it. And then I remember they have that Sergio Gomez guy who played in the FA Cup at the weekend, so they might just do that.
They've got him, haven't they?
Yeah. And he's like a left-footed left-back, so maybe they'll change systems.
I mean, Steve Hankey, podcast producer, helpfully pointed out earlier that everyone thinks Man City are going to win. So should we move on?
They probably will.
But it's not it's
Steve's
not
an Arsenal
unforeseeable
fan, by the
that
way.
Arsenal could win this, and I think it'll be very interesting to see how Arteta approaches it, because I think Man City have more of the psychological advantage. I think a few people would disagree with that, but City can control the game. They're at home. We know that now because we've double checked it.
Yeah.
So they can play a nice patient possession game. They can wait for Arsenal to try and attack them, because Arsenal probably need to win this if they're going to win the league. And then that would naturally leave holes at the back that they could exploit in the counter. And they're quite good in the counter because they have that Erling Haaland lad up front who's quite good at doing that. So that's made them be really dangerous in transition, and also they can control games if they want to. So if Arsenal go for it, and they play more direct than City do, then that could leave them vulnerable. But City, I don't know, they can just sort of play it cool. And then who's going to lose more games over the rest of the season? Man City might be a bit
Well, as it stands, Manchester City have 2 games in hand and are 5 points behind.
oh, that's bad.
So they're currently it's in their hands, right? I mean, and theoretically now you would flip it and say, well, that game against Arsenal is no longer one of the games in hand because it's one of the games that Arsenal has. So provided that they win their other 2, even if Man City and Arsenal draw, still in Man City's hands. Like Arsenal do have to win to put it back
and then
in.
continue winning.
Yeah, continue winning to get it back into their own hands.
But they did
lot of
that earlier in the
hands.
season, yeah.
I mean, listen, no one's saying they can't do it.
But the main thing is squad depth, right?
What's that?
The main thing is squad.
I got lost in my own head there. Say that again? Squad depth.
And the fact that Arsenal are like not as far into their development as City are, which is why they don't have the depth. Like most of their squad is fit, other than Saliba, obviously, who I accidentally called Gabriel Saliba. His name is William. Last time I was on, some Arsenal fans corrected me.
Oh, I see. Well, it's easy to kind of,
Well, he plays next to Gabriel, doesn't he?
The two players playing next to each other.
But so apart from him, most of their squad is fit now. Like Jesus is back, but
Nicky Butt's back. He's very old. He's been. I didn't realise they'd gone out of retirement.
He was good, Nicky
That's
Butt.
a really good joke.
He was what?
He was good.
He was good.
Remember him at Newcastle?
I do remember that. Yeah.
That's one of those transfers you don't really remember, right?
Yes, that's
Remember we
true.
did this.
Yes.
Ian Rush, he played at Newcastle. Remember that?
I'm just saying yes to you.
Stuart Pearce.
And they
Yes.
could do with
John
Nicky
Barnes.
Butt right now because Thomas Partey has had a couple of real stinkers in his last couple of games.
He has had a couple of stinkers.
He was losing the ball very cheaply against Southampton.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Romeo Lavia in their midfield is very wavy. He's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
But that shot that Partey blazed over the bar in the 98th minute,
Oh my God.
I don't even care who won that game, but I was like screaming, like, what are you doing? It was
Yeah.
the dumbest decision I've
But
ever
if it
seen.
had gone in, it would be amazing. Remember, like
would.
Vincent Kompany lining up a shot from
It would.
35 yards for Man City.
I
a couple of
tweeted
years
like,
ago.
"Why is he doing that?" And somebody said, "Because company." So yeah, maybe that entered his mind. But the thing is, they don't really have. They're not going to rest him. They're not going to drop him. You've got to play him again. Like, there's no chance that Jorginho comes in for him in this City game. But you just need those key players like him and Jesus to be just a bit more on it because Jesus is underperforming his XG by about 4 goals, I think, this season.
Who's going to win?
City are going to win that game, and then City are going to win the league. But Arsenal will have given a valiant effort.
Yes. JJ?
I think it'll be a draw.
What kind of draw? A goalless draw? A score draw?
A goal-full draw.
Like a 2-2?
Sure.
Wow.
I'm bad at predicting things, I know that.
That
I can
is
tell you
true.
why things have happened.
Yeah.
I'll show you that. I'm pretty good at that.
Captain hindsight.
Yeah. I'm Captain
May
Hindsight.
I make a rare interjection on the analysis front?
Oh, what? You want to do a whole bit of analysis?
Just on one thing I wanted to say in terms of the conversation around injuries and squad depth and stuff is that the plan going into the defence-wise this season for Arsenal would be Tomiyasu, who against Liverpool, for example, home played at left back, can play at centre back as well, and then play at right back. So in a way, it's a very concentrated injury.
Halfway through, pull the mic up in front of his face there. Podcast producer Steve Hankey. Sorry, carry on with your analysis though.
So he was part of why he's such a good player is because of his versatility. So losing him as well as Saliba, I think is a really
point.
Compounded, specific set of injuries.
Because they could have moved Ben White back into centre back where he played his first season, right, and then put Tomiyasu at right back if he'd been fit and not had to play Rob Holding.
I think that counts as a shade thrown at you, JJ Bull. That's exactly the kind of thing you should say on here. And guess what? You've made a man with a microphone in a different room have to say it on your behalf. What do you have to say to Steve Hankey?
I don't care.
Neither do I. There we go. That's Arsenal. More to come on Arsenal because they have to play their remaining games. They're not allowed to not play them. That's how it works in football. We'll have a break here now, and when we get back, we will discuss Newcastle Tottenham. Yes? We're back from a break again. Now, Newcastle 6-1 Tottenham Hotspur, Reuben Pinder. This was a surprise, wasn't it? I believe it was the second fastest 5-0. It was at 1.5-0 during the game of all time in the Premier League. Only beaten by Man City beating Watford in 2019. I think they got there 1 or 2 minutes sooner.
I saw that stat mentioned a few times and had absolutely no recollection of that City-Watford game.
I think that's a suggestion that they just win 5-0 too many times for it to even.
I got confused because do you remember City also beat Watford like 6-0 in an FA Cup final? Might have been 5. Don't know.
Don't remember.
One of the more forgettable ones. Anyway, Newcastle, it was genuinely astonishing because it looked like Spurs might as well have not been on the pitch for the first 20 minutes. They were just absolutely shell-shocked, I believe is the word. It's one of those freak results where there's very little explanation for it because the Spurs players are not that bad individually, but collectively in this moment, as coaches might say, they are in a difficult moment and they don't seem to have any confidence or I think the players and the man and Stellini both, or maybe it was Lloris, said they just didn't have the fight in them, and that's what it looked like. But that's not to say they don't care, which I feel like fans quite often conflate the two.
What do you think the difference is?
I think the players do care, but because of the atmosphere that's been created, they can't muster up that little extra bit of energy that is almost like adrenaline. That like they're probably trying, but because there's no cohesion, they're all just kind of going through the motions. And I don't think that's like a thing about them not caring. I think it's more of the energy being sapped out of them through like being in such a negative environment. But also they changed formation, so there is a tactical element to it as well. They changed formation. They had Perisic and Pedro Porro, who are wingers converted to wing backs, playing as full backs.
I mean, that did see when you saw that ahead of the game, you did think, I mean, they're either going to win by a lot or lose by a lot.
The players in Tottenham's squad who can play as the outside left-sided centre back, Davies and Longley, they were both out. Sessegnon was out as well, so they didn't really have a natural left back. Still played the system. Dyer and Romero, they both kind of tend to struggle in a 4. They're much more protected by the 3/5 shape, and a lot of Newcastle's goals seem to come from Newcastle winning the ball, Spurs players being kind of caught too high, and Spurs ending up with a back 2 of Dyer and Romero, who'd been dragged over to one side of the pitch. And then, like, if you watch Willock's outside of the boot assist for Isak, the Spurs shape is just absolutely all over the place. And then, like, once you're 3-0 down in that sort of situation, it's very difficult to motivate yourself to go and play again. But yeah, Newcastle were brilliant. They deserve a lot of praise because they pressed really well and took their chances.
Seb had an argument with some people on Twitter, JJ, about whether this was kind of down to the tactical change or not. And as Reuben mentioned, Spurs played a back 4 for all of those first 5 goals. This was the first time in I think it was a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, right? Seb's broader point was that regardless of tactical setup or formation or whatever, if you concede 5 goals as a Premier League team with those quality of players in the first 20 minutes, that's not tactical. That's just a collapse.
Well, there's nothing wrong with playing a 4-2-3-1, for example. Like, it's not the wrong setup.
No.
Or a 4-3-3, whatever it was. But like the individuals within it, the midfield's really important in a team, obviously. But they had Sarr, Skip, and Højbjerg in that midfield, who I think them, along with Romero and Dyer, or Dyer, whatever the hell's name is.
Dyer,
yeah.
Dyer's the one you hit with your car.
Yes, that's correct.
Dyer's the one on the football pitch.
Yeah. Okay. And so it looks like a team that hadn't been drilled, like coached into that shape particularly well. So you had Skip was pushing up to help with the press alongside Kulusevski, who's definitely still playing it and Son either side of him playing very much like they're still in that 3-4-3 with protection wide and protection behind.
Yeah.
But the wing backs, like Reuben was saying, would push up quite early, and then they would leave Romero and Dyer, exactly as I'm just repeating what Reuben said actually. Then they'd come across a little bit, so they're the wrong shape. So they're stationed like they're in a 3, but they're not. They're in a 2. So there's a huge amount of space in behind them. But the midfield is empty. They're almost in a straight line at times, and so there's just nothing filled there. Ryan Mason was going nuts at Stellini on the touchline, like saying, like, I don't know what he was saying, but it looked like he was saying, this is not working, you can see something. Yeah. And then off comes Pape Mater Sarr, that's his name, isn't it? Who just had a really, I don't think he's a bad player, because he's a really highly talented, high potential player. He'll be great. But he looked like
young
he was
player as well.
Yeah, he's young. Didn't seem to know when to be and where, and I don't think that's his fault. It's going to be that he wasn't sure where everyone else is meant to be. They all looked lost.
Someone said in the WhatsApp group it looked like they were kind of training him before the game. I mean, obviously they would have done that in the week as well, but little quick reminders of here and here and here.
It wasn't immediately clear which of the midfielders should be in which kind of slot. Like, as you say, like Skip went forward when they didn't have the ball, but also like they all seemed to kind of straight line sometimes, but then they'd all end up towards the left of the pitch, and it wasn't clear, like, okay, he's the 6, he's the right side of 8, and he's the left side of 8.
And that thing, so it's like it's like a little bit of tactical stuff, but Sarr's getting caught out of position trying to help out to try and win the ball back where he thinks he needs to be. So then Romero steps up to try and squash the space that he's left behind. And then there's a high line they're playing as well, but there's a lot of depth between the strikers and the centre-backs with no midfield in it. So it's a horrible tactical mess. But then, like, the first goal, Romero just lets... I can't remember, runs past him.
Linton's cutting in from the left.
He lets him go past him, doesn't make the tackle. It's in the box, maybe that's why. But like they just weren't engaged particularly aggressively or physically for the start of it, and they just looked like they didn't really know exactly what they were doing, like they hadn't been taught exactly how to do it, or that the manager wasn't exactly sure where they should be. And I'm sure they know how this works. It's a very simple setup, the 4-2-3-1 that they're trying to do here. But it did not work in the form they've had, having changed from a system they've been using for years. Like, it makes sense to do that, and it's very hard to do that mid-season. It's why like managers want a pre-season when they come in with new ideas. They don't just bring in a new formation halfway through a season often. Like some people could do it. Like Conte did it at Chelsea, changed it all of a sudden, and that's how they won that league. But I think that's because it's maybe easier to make a more defensive thing because it's maybe easier to train the defensive side of it rather than trying to get all things going at once. I don't know. Maybe that's completely wrong. I never tried to coach a Premier League teams. I don't know. But yeah.
Well, speaking of trying to coach a Premier League team, it does seem like Nagelsmann is no longer in the running for the Chelsea job. Right, I believe I read that before the weekend. I mean, that does leave Tottenham wide open. I haven't seen anything or read anything about whether this is going to happen or not, but you would have thought the main thing standing in Tottenham's way before was Chelsea. If they no longer are, Real Madrid, I suppose. But is Nagelsmann
it an appealing job for Nagelsmann right now?
I mean, I wonder. I keep reading people say managers all think they can fix everything, right? That's like,
you probably need that ego, don't you?
Well, it's like an issue that they all, like a psychological issue that they all have, is that they think the one downside and the upside at the same time is like, yeah, I can fix that, even if you can't. That's why people keep taking the Man United job. You know, who the would take that job?
Yeah,
people who think they can fix everything.
But that's a job with there's no ceiling on it. You could go nuts with that job.
Yeah.
So it's really appealing. It's huge. Whereas Spurs, I wonder if managers would look at the way it's gone from Mourinho and Conte, two of the best managers in the world, like undoubtedly, and they've not been able to crack it. And so, do you think, well, if I go there, that might be damaging?
I don't know, man. I think
so?
I think again, like I think the power of the ego, the I can, the central me. Like you look at Mourinho. Also, what does that give? It presents you an option. You see Mourinho and Conte unable to do it. It means if I go there and do it, I'm better than they are. Like,
I think it's just slightly different with Spurs though, because there's definitely that sort of limit, and coming to the end of this cycle with Kane and Son.
Sure, but put it this way instead, right? If you're Nagelsmann, you've just been at Bayern. Yeah. You've just essentially, air quotes, failed at Bayern Munich, right? You could go to Real Madrid probably in the summer and know that Florentino Perez was interested in him 2 or 3 years ago before he went to Bayern Munich, so that that relationship exists. You could go there, and if you don't win the Champions League, fail at Real Madrid. There are no other major slots open with the exception of Chelsea, and for whatever reason that's not happening. At Tottenham, not only do you have a ceiling, which is kind of great in a sense because of expectations. You can actually outperform expectations in a way that you can't with the bigger teams. You're right that the perception and the perspective of the team is that Kane's coming to an end, that kind of era of players is coming to an end. Therefore, if you do something with this team, that's super impressive, right? If you turn them into a team that perhaps even once, just like Pochettino does, challenges for the title, that's pretty incredible. Like, and to be honest, they have one of the biggest stadiums in the country. They make more money from match day income than any other club apart from Arsenal, maybe.
They've got the best training ground in the world.
They've got the best training ground in the world. They've got the ceiling on their commercial income is as high as every other club, every other top 6 club. Right? They are set up for long-term success.
I was going to say...
And you can live in London.
Yeah, I was going to say, but they need loads of new players. But that's
a good thing for a manager, isn't it? Doesn't a manager want to buy their own players?
Well, yeah, maybe. But then I started thinking, are we falling into the trap of watching a team kind of deteriorate under toxic management and then assuming all the players are crap? Maybe. When actually, quite often, new manager comes in, everybody's happy again. Yeah, man. And
we talk about Pedro Porro, we said, perhaps who I think has only started as a fullback like twice ever, played as fullback in this, surprise, 6-1. He's one of the highest rated wing backs in the world. Like, he's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he hasn't become terrible overnight.
No, Kulusevski's son Kane is probably the best actual attacking front three.
Kulusevski has a son called Kane.
Kulusevski's son and Kane.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I see where you got lost there.
Right.
But they're probably the best attacking three in the league.
Yes.
Yeah, there were conversations last season, like, who's got the best front three in the league, and a lot of people were like, well, they're not in the best team, but it might be those three.
I know who's got the second best, though.
Who's that?
It's Aston Villa, obviously, because they're the second best team in the league.
Jacob Ramsey, Ollie Watkins, Buendia, yeah.
And like as we've seen with Aberdeen recently, their players looked absolutely useless for the last season, like losing like 5 and 6-0, just terrible results. Yeah.
Right.
And then a manager who was one of the youth coaches, Barry Robson, has come in to take charge of it, and they've won like 7 in a row, and the players suddenly look amazing, and the plan works perfectly, and they look really well coached, and suddenly those players are good.
Love a person called Barry.
Yeah.
Same thing happened at Palace this season as well. It's just vibes. Happiness can get a lot out of players.
Yeah.
So bring in, as I said a few weeks ago, give it Mase to the end of the season.
Well, that's down here, isn't it? Because give it Mason until the end of the season. You refer, of course, to Ryan Mason. I mean, Stellini is already the temporary caretaker coach. Already, they fired the other
interim
coach.
to the interim.
Yeah, I mean, could we have an interim for
They've
the
all
interim?
got in for him.
Well,
at
this
this
is-
point,
this
would
was
you
the
give it to
problem.
Mase?
I would, because they've sacked Conte and left his right-hand man in charge. So
Yeah, that's what they've done.
not that much has actually changed for the players. They're not getting like bollockings, for lack of a better word, from Conte anymore, but they're getting the same kind of tactics and the absence of any real difference and improvement.
Yeah.
So
What do you think Mase would do, though?
he just put an arm around the shoulder and say, "It's all right, Pierre. I
Right.
know you're a good player. Now stop messing about." And
Problem is, though, if he did that during a game, there'd be 12 players on the pitch.
we do it before the game.
Before the game.
Yeah, in training.
Understood.
Yeah,
Understood. Okay.
I just think they'd probably be a bit happier.
You think so?
I mean, it can't really get much worse, can it? Like, they can slide down the table, but
could
at the
get
moment,
worse.
but that's the nadir, right? That result.
What if they hate Ryan Mason? What if he's the problem? Have you considered
Do you think?
this?
I haven't considered.
No,
that,
I don't know. The thing is, I'm
By all accounts, he's a
sure
good
they
bloke.
don't. Yeah, I'm absolutely
Yeah.
certain they don't hate Ryan Mason. But all I mean, I guess, is that when we start talking about the intangible vibe, you're right.
We're all
right?
speculating,
Like the
though,
Roy
yeah.
Hodgson thing at Crystal Palace. Weird. It's weird. Why? And it's annoying because you can't exactly say why it's happening, but it is happening. You have to look at it and say, well, that's old Grandad Roy. He's really getting those youngsters a tickle in. Do you know what I'm saying? It's amazing.
I suppose my point is, this is pretty much rock bottom for Spurs, and can they move on without changing anything? Do they just?
Yeah.
Because you like, as Jack Pitt-Brooke wrote in his brilliant article summing up this game, it's like you thought this was the worst thing ever,
Yeah.
and then they find a new low, but this has surely got to be the lowest of the low.
Well, I mean, that's true. It probably is the lowest because next weekend they play Manchester United, another team who got absolutely hammered by someone relatively recently, lest we forget the 7-0 at the hands of Liverpool. So it's two embarrassed teams with tails between their legs. They meet and they have a dogfight in a car park. That's it, isn't it? That's how it works. Yeah. What do you think about that one?
What is it? Spurs versus Man United.
That's
having,
right,
Having
yeah.
a fight in a car park.
No, just they play each other next weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. Speaking of Manchester United, let's talk about the FA Cup now, because it was, of course, the semi-finals of the FA Cup, the penultimate round over the weekend. And Sunday saw Man United and Brighton play out a thrilling 0-0 draw over 120 minutes. I jest it was actually quite good at times. A very even game. And it went to penalties, didn't it, JJ Bull? Went to penalties, and Man United won only their second... Oh, you're looking at me like you didn't see that. Did you miss that one? Yes, okay. Baby Boy Pinder. It went to penalties, and I believe Man United won only their second penalty shootout of the last 8 or 9 or something, and they did it because Brighton missed like the 8th penalty.
When was the last time they won a penalty shootout?
They won one in 2019, but it was in like it was in a domestic cup in the earlier rounds against a team
okay.
that's not in the Premier League.
Right,
and I believe David De Gea is yet to save a penalty in a penalty shootout.
That sounds about right, because the one that I'm thinking of is when they played Villarreal in the Europa League final, and De Gea conceded.
That was 22-21.
He conceded 11,
I think he literally
21.
conceded 21. I think they definitely went all the way through the whole team.
Twice.
Twice, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then he missed his penalty.
And it was him that missed it the second time round, I
it's
think.
brutal, isn't it? But penalties are absolutely brutal to watch. And like, I wasn't really in neutral in this game, but even
in this one,
yeah.
Who are you supporting?
Manchester United.
Oh, why?
My dad supports them, and
Right.
Palace and Brighton don't like each other.
Oh, you hate Brighton, of course.
A bit.
Yeah.
So, but even for actual neutrals, I find watching penalty shootouts like unbearable.
Yeah. I don't like
There
them.
was a lot of good penalties in this shootout, though, especially Lindelof's one to win it. That was
True.
good. I thought he had a really good game, actually,
Yeah.
in a bit of a makeshift defence. Shaw next to him at centre-back, Dalot playing on his weak side.
Yeah.
But, he's got Wan-Bissaka to his right, and he, no bias here, he put on a masterclass against Mitoma defensively, because Mitoma, famously one of the best dribblers in the league,
Sure.
and Wan-Bissaka was
And that
absolutely
is famous,
incredible.
that one.
Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
written a whole thing about it, hasn't he? So yeah, it was very scrappy. It wasn't very fluid. Neither team really played their best football, but I'm glad United made it through. Should make for a better final.
JJ Bull, Brighton actually went into this game with the odds, as the bookmakers' odds suggested that they were more likely to win it than Manchester United were.
Wow.
I mean, that really tells you something about the season, doesn't it?
It might have to do with Man United not having any of their good defenders back or available, and De Gea not being able to pass very well to them in build-up.
Yeah.
Pumped it long quite often in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. United are weird, aren't they? Because it was a long time ago when John correctly pointed out that they weren't actually playing that well, and they're probably going to lose some games, and then that started to happen. But they've got good players, so they should win games. Brighton very well coached. Man United also quite well coached. Don't know what I'm saying. I feel really ill. Was that?
I'm tempted to just let you run. Did you watch the other game, the Manchester City Sheffield United?
I did see some of that, yes.
I thought Sheffield United, that game finished 2-0, I believe. No? Was it more in the end?
3. Mahrez got a hat-trick.
Mahrez got a hat-trick.
Oh, Mahrez got a hat-trick, of course he did.
Scored 3 goals.
By 2-0, what I mean is I stopped watching it too. I thoroughly enjoyed, a quick note on this, that the opening half, because Sheffield United played very well. I thought for a while, I was thinking, oh wow, they might actually do this. They might keep Man City out. And they had a couple of good opportunities in the first 20 minutes as well.
Well, they're getting promoted, aren't they, from the Championship? Paul Heckingbottom, who was like driven out of Hibs when he was in charge there. No one thought he was very good. Now he's got Sheffield United to the Premier League.
Someone drove him out. They put him in a car.
Yes.
Wow.
They drove him out themselves.
Yeah. Was it snowed in or something? What was the situation?
No, he said, I would want to go fast. And then they said, well, you're going to have to drive. He said, but I want to run. That's what he said.
Oh.
So they had a car delivered, very fast car.
And he ran behind the car.
No, he got in the car.
He got in the car.
And they drove it a normal way.
Oh.
All the way to Sheffield.
And now he's getting promoted with Sheffield
And then he became
United.
a real boy.
Yeah.
And then Man City did them. Apparently,
do you still feel sick?
Yeah. Apparently, I can't remember who said this. It might have been in The Athletic even, but there was a weird feel at Wembley for this game because Sheffield United knew they weren't going to win.
Yeah, there sort of
and
wasn't
City
that
sort of
many
knew that
people
they might
there.
anyway.
Yeah, Man City got loads of stick for not selling out their end, but like they've been to Wembley like what feels like 3 times a season for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's not that special for their fans anymore, especially when you know you're going to win. You have to go down to London. It's very expensive.
It's also like if it was just going to London, great, you can have a good time. But it's not. It's going to London and then going to Wembley, which is basically not in London.
It's all right from King's Cross. It's all right from King's Cross,
but it takes forever to get there.
It's the journey home.
It's the journey home. For people who haven't been to Wembley before to see a game of football happen, when you try to leave
with loads of fans in the stadium,
when you try to leave. You walk down Wembley Way. That's where you walk down. The way that was.
You know, it's actually
Wembley.
called Olympic Way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why do they call it Wembley Way?
I don't know.
Oh.
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Well, you walk down Wembley Olympic Way back towards the Tube. I think it's on the Brown Line. Is it?
It's on the Metropolitan Line.
Metropolitan Line? The Maroon Line. Yes.
Great line.
And then you wait forever to walk up some stairs, and then you wait for even longer to get on a tube. And it's quite annoying, isn't it? So that's why I always don't go.
To manage the crowds when going up the stairs back into the station, they have like lines of security that all link arms.
That's true.
And then eventually there's a noise that goes off and they all drop their arms and it's like a stampede to go through. Yeah. But it feels like you're on like gladiators or you're like a horse that's about to race because it's like
it's weird when you get
not ideal
when you're at the front of the queue and you get stuck face to face with the security because it's very awkward, isn't it? You sort of feel like you should be hello, yes,
all right, mate. How long are you on till? Been busy.
Can't get through your arms, can I? You're a big strong lad. Anyway, I've got a story about this. So it's a very quick story. Don't worry. It's just a quick detour there, Steve Hankey. Very, 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 very quick. When I was a young man, I went to visit a protest. Yeah, you ever heard of a protest before? When you tell the government to off. I went to one of those.
Did quite well in France just now. I've seen
they're doing well over there, aren't they? Vive la France. Anyway, I don't know what that means. I know what it means, but I don't know what it means in context of the current political. I don't know what I'm saying. I have no idea what's happening. Just ignore me. But anyway, I went to a very small protest just to watch it. I wasn't really participating. I was just curious with some friends to go down and see. And it was Occupy Parliament Square. Remember when people were occupying things? Yeah, when they occupied Wall Street and they occupied some other places and then eventually they left. I heard there was one happening in Parliament Square, which is opposite the Westminster, opposite the halls of Parliament, and is this big square of grass where historically citizens have been allowed to go and protest. It's often where protest will make birth or end, you know? And anyway, this group of young people were attempting to occupy this square. There were a few tents and tarpaulin and whatever. I went down with my friend Richard to just go and see what's going on. A couple of people were talking there. Anyway, we got kettled there by the police, by which I mean we got surrounded by the police. And all of these committed young activist people, they all sat down on their tarpaulin, which the police were trying to steal, because the police realised, I think, if we take away these people's tarpaulin, they have to sit on the wet ground, they'll probably go home. And the people, fair enough, were saying, well, this is my tarpaulin, and I want to keep it here. And that was the battle. And I accidentally got kettled. I wasn't doing anything. I was just sort of stood there. All the activists sat down in a circle on their tarpaulin. I was kind of stood awkwardly at the outskirts of this circle. And the police kettle, it came in, it closed in until I was face to face with a policeman.
Did you try to reason with him?
Well, I could either look at him or I could turn around and look at the activists, and they were looking at me saying, what are you doing? You're a big lad. If you sit down, they'll never get this tarpaulin. No one could ever pull the chair out from under you. And I was like, hell yes, I'm just here to look, really. Look at the policeman who was like, what are you doing here? I'm asking you to leave. I'd be like, I don't know, I'm just here to look, really. Got stuck in a trap of my own making until I said to the policeman, I said, excuse me, sir, can I get out? And he said, you want to get out? And I was like, yeah. And he went, yeah. And then he just let me out. And I ran away.
And they all screamed at you for being a scab.
Yeah. That's my story.
I think it's a storyline from Seinfeld.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very Mark Corrigan. Just going
George
up to the policeman like,
I didn't mean to get kettled. I just wanted to see what was going on, you know?
Kramer's in the middle of the protest.
Anyway, I also texted an old school acquaintance of mine who worked in the Houses of Parliament and said, I'm nearby. Do you want to get a drink? She was like, yeah, where are you? I said, I'm at the Occupy protest movement over the street. She never texted me back.
It's good.
I get it. I understand. It's fine. I found that quite funny. What are we talking about?
Well,
I reckon
the FA Cup.
Yeah, FA Cup. I've put the attendance in there for you for the Man City Sheffield United game.
What was the attendance?
So 69 out of 90. So there's
nice.
a good old 20,000 seats that just weren't taken.
Well, you've said that now, Steve. I think that's good to stay in.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Well, let's have a break then, and when we come back, we'll discuss some other games of football that happened. Oh, back from a break there. There we go. Was that you enjoy that break? Have a nice break.
you never actually give us a break.
Well, don't spoil the magic, Reuben Pinder. Come on now. Are you feeling better? No, what's wrong with you?
I'm going to have to go home after this.
Really? I'm going home after this on account of
That you have a hole in your mouth.
there's an open wound in my mouth and I don't want to dislodge the clot.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling? You feeling okay?
I'm okay, yeah.
Yeah?
A bit hot, but
Yeah?
that's just the studio.
Well, that temperature is important for
Health.
health and babies. Wrexham 3.
We're fine, by the way, Joe. Thanks for asking.
You're in a different room. Wrexham 3-1 Boreham Wood. Now this was a promotion game, of course. We very nearly sent you there, Reuben Pinder,
Very nearly.
and then we didn't because it was too expensive. But Richard Sutcliffe of the Athletic, Sutty as he's known, he was there and he reported on it. Took some videos on his phone for us of the pitch invasion at 90 minutes. Looked tremendously exciting, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It looked pretty magical. Some people will try to denigrate the fairy tale of Wrexham, but
What will they say?
they'd say they've spent loads more money than everybody else down there.
Right.
But who cares? I think they're doing, like, the owners are doing things the right way. They clearly care. They have dreams of reaching the Premier League, and they might struggle to get there, but they have made a lot of people very happy, having taken over a club that was in a bit of a mess. And if you can't be pleased for the fans of Wrexham, then I think you need to inject some joy into your life.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was great scenes, just great scenes.
I find it funny what they've done to newspaper editors all over the country. A mixture of people going like, yes, more amazing news that the Americans love. And or like, God, for God's sake, why is Wrexham the best performing thing? You
Yeah,
know?
I've got a friend who supports Grimsby Town, and They had a run in the FA Cup. I think Brighton knocked them out. And he was complaining that is objectively the good story. Yeah. But then Wrexham were always in the headlines above them, and I'm like,
sure,
yeah, that is a more impressive thing, but also more people care about this. So, but like Rob and Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney after the game, shedding real tears.
Sure.
I enjoyed that. That was nice.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard to pretend that they didn't care or were the same.
Yeah, I saw some people saying they're actors.
Yeah.
Of course, they're fake crying, and I'm like, come on.
Seems like a lot of effort to go to.
Yeah.
For what's probably just it's a very well made documentary, but I doubt it's really making a significant difference to their wealth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably costing them money. I would have thought, not the show. I mean, the whole advent. So it's strange to really think through the reasons. Well, what about you? You maintain that they're all faking it, don't you? I'm just joking.
I really like Wrexham. I think it's a nice story because anything in the UK, when people start doing well, everyone has to hate it. That's what happens.
That's why we're killing the show.
Yeah.
By the way, it's the main reason.
Just starting that now.
Yeah. It's a lovely story, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like it?
I do really like it. Yeah.
What does it make you feel? I know you feel sick now.
With Wrexham, well, I love Rob McElhenney because I love It's Always Sunny.
But tell me about not what you think. What does it make you feel?
I think it would be...
No. I
feel lovely.
You feel lovely about it?
Yeah.
It makes you feel lovely?
I think it's nice.
Yeah. No. I don't want to know what you think. I want to know what you feel.
I feel like everyone in that town must really, really, really appreciate what's happening to them. Yeah. And they've got a chance that few other people would have that naturally would make you jealous.
It's a very complex feeling, isn't it? It sounds more like a thought to me.
It's complicated.
Warmth.
Yeah. Do you know how to
warmth is
feel?
The feeling, isn't it?
Let's go for it again one more time. When you watch, what you just said, the thing about how it makes all those people in that town, they feel good, they like it, gives them a sense of purpose and meaning, doesn't it? Because obviously it's abject, the world. You're going to die. We're all going to die.
Yes.
When you see a little distraction like that, a little ray of light comes through your phone, through Twitter, or through the television, we'll talk about that later, what do you feel? What does it make you feel?
Delight.
It makes you feel the light or delight. Delight.
Yeah.
That's cool. And what about Aberdeen 2? Oh, no, there's still one more question on here, isn't there, before we get to Aberdeen? Just a quick one. How far are Wrexham going to go? That was the question.
I think, judging by my Football Manager save, they'll fly up the lower leagues quite quickly with momentum, a well-run club. They'll have to get investment to have cash injections to pay the different budgets they'll need to have the players to get them there.
Yeah.
But if you look at how Bournemouth did it, that's probably a similar kind of path. Very small, tiny stadium still, but it's a really well-run club, and they should be able to ride the momentum. And they've got good players now already. Like Elliot Lee, they've got. He says it's a League One team. I think it was him who's quoted as saying it's basically a League One team already. Paul Mullen's amazing. Could easily play Championship, probably Premier League.
Right.
Paul Mullen, and then they'll just add players to it. They got good characters. Parkinson's a very capable manager. He's been promoted. This is his 4th promotion, I think. His teams just make sense. And so he gets teams better than they were. He coaches players so they become better. They could quite easily ride it up, but it'll be... I think I was talking this with John McKenzie the other day, and he reckons he might get stuck in League One because it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
And there's an article in The Athletic actually recently about what the difference in talent level is between like League Two and Premier League or whatever. Because if you think that, again, at Bournemouth, some of the players they had in the lower leagues played with them in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think like Steve Cook maybe or Charlie Daniels. Players like that.
Yeah,
I might be wrong.
Francis, Adam Smith.
I think some of them. I might have got a couple of them wrong, but so they can do it, and it's just that if you don't have a cohesive team, and I keep saying this in recent podcasts that. What you see in the boardroom tends to be what is reflected on the pitch. If it's really cohesive and there's strategy and it's an environment that is conducive to competition and excelling in that, then you'll maybe see it play out on the pitch. And Wrexham have that. Like they're just really well run. They would have been promoted ages ago were it not for Notts County being phenomenal.
Yeah.
They've broken the all-time record points in the National League. They are now one of the most famous football clubs probably in the world. They are like the numbers you see on. All newspapers cover them.
Yeah.
They're a National League team. Who cares? Everyone does, and that TV show is part of it. And I think like the weird thing with it, if you consider how this works with Disney as the model, because they've got that show on Disney, they now have this show which is really compelling to watch, and I like the way it's been, like the way that's put together. It's nice.
It's smart. Yeah.
It changes. It's like a bit Monty Python-ish. You don't know what you're going to get each week. I like that. And so when they get to a point, if at worst they were stuck in League One, and they couldn't get out of it. It's not good for the show. So what Disney then put in money to inject to try and get them over that line, because it makes their show better, it generates loads of money for Disney, and also then the club then, symbiotically grows up the leagues and does that. It's a really novel,
that, wouldn't they? Like fans of other teams, would probably hate that.
Yeah, they hate everything, don't they?
Yeah.
Anything successful they hate.
The consensus seems to be they'll get stuck in League One.
I think that'll be the Premier League. I think they'll be back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah.
You think that they're going to win the league next season?
I did it on Football Manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, that's real.
How many years until the Premier League?
I think give them 2 years in the Championship. It's not back to back. So 2 years in the Championship to get up. Because there's so
how
many
years
places.
in total is that from now? If next season's season 1,
League 1, Championship, Premier League. So like 5 years.
You think 5 years?
Nah.
That's mad. That's mad. Is that what happened in the Championship?
It's probably actually
in your Football Manager game.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, it's probably no. Actually, I did it back to back. But it was probably.
I was going to say 10,
7
minimum
or 8 years.
10.
7 or 8 years probably.
What do you think, Steve Hankey?
I think they will. Well, I mean, you've seen Bournemouth do it, haven't you? So there is a precedent for teams just keeping going and that momentum.
Yeah.
I kind of think, whether it's League One or Championship, I think there will be a double season somewhere. But it could easily be 6.
Because you can get promoted in like 3rd place and something.
And it's also soft factor stuff now. People like Ben Foster go in there. There'll be other players who would go below a division because of everything around them.
I still think it's 10 years. I still don't think you get up sooner than. But anyway,
depends how much
we'll
money
see.
they want to pump in, doesn't it?
Yeah, it might also be saying that because
we'll
I
never
want it to
know.
happen, but yeah.
Because I'll tell you what. How about this? When Wrexham get promoted to the Premier League, we'll come back and we'll do one special show. Yeah. Like in the olden days, like today will be the olden days.
Like LCD sound system, we'll buy all the equipment back, and then
and you'll be, I don't know how old are you now? You'll be in your late 40s.
what in 10 years?
I'll be early 40s. Reuben will be 12. It'll be great.
Yeah,
We can find out what his favourite subject at school is.
that'd be good.
All right, cool. Before we finish, Aberdeen 2, 0 Rangers. Now, from what I understand about Scottish football, which is small.
Lots.
Oh, you went for a different. I went for, which is lots.
Lots.
Yeah. That's quite a surprising scoreline, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Aberdeen rarely beat Rangers because they have much better players.
Yeah.
And they tend to win all their games.
Right.
It's a huge result for Aberdeen. I think it's interesting in the context of our show because it's. I think we mentioned it a bit earlier. I don't know if that bit is in the podcast or not. But Barry Robson is the manager. So like Aberdeen were getting absolutely pummeled this season.
Oh, yeah.
They should finish. Hearts and Aberdeen should be the ones that are fighting for 3rd place. You can't really close the gap on Rangers and Celtic because the money difference is enormous.
And there's currently 5 points between them. Aberdeen on 53, Hearts of Midlothian on 48.
If you look at the goal difference in the league, you can see where the problem kind of lies. It's
Oh, yes.
yes. This is where Celtic have a goal difference of plus 78.
Yes.
Right,
And
that's
Aberdeen have a goal difference of 0.
It's not competitive really, and Rangers are quite far behind Celtic at the moment. Celtic have been there for ages, so that kind of makes sense. But Aberdeen Hearts fighting out. But like when you see a team full of players and they just look hopeless, like rudderless, they are getting turned over by bad teams. Like Aberdeen lost to Darvel, like a junior team in a cup.
Yeah.
In the Scottish Cup, which is humiliating.
Oh,
Didn't fire the manager Jim Goodwin after that. He got done after they lost, I think it was 6-1 to Hibs.
right.
It's another like humiliating result.
No hope, nay hinder,
Absolutely.
nay rudder.
And so then they decided to have got rid of Jim Goodwin. He was gone. The chairman, Dave Cormack's been trying to choose the right option for who to get, but looking into like managers that maybe have come from a market like Denmark or Croatia, someone who's achieved something with a relatively similar sized team, against the odds to try and get someone who could then do that in the Premiership rather than just getting the same faces that you always get in these leagues. Like the same manager comes somewhere else and they're there for 2 years, they're all right and they disappear. So while they're looking for that, Barry Robson, who's used to play for Middlesbrough and Celtic and Scotland, has been at Aberdeen for a long time as a coach. He's from Aberdeen. And so he got put in charge.
Have you ever met him in a pub?
I haven't, no, but several of my friends have met his dad loads.
Really?
Because he drinks in Inverurie.
His dad lives in the local area?
I think so, yeah.
But he's a proud father?
I would suspect so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his boy's done very well. And he
Yeah.
speaks very well.
Does he?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, yeah.
He doesn't speak as fast as you.
Well, that's one thing.
Right.
And if I could give you any advice, don't speak as fast as I do.
Please slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what, carry on, but then try it like
slower.
at 75% speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here I go.
Oh.
In the Valley's accent.
Barry Robson had become the interim manager, and people didn't know how good he would be at Aberdeen. But he's been so good, and we have won like 7 games in a row now, including against Rangers. Not good now. I don't like it. And so now I'm thinking Barry Robson might actually be the best option this guy to come through, but he's made these players like really good. He's made them really good.
I can't hear
What
anything
am I
you're saying.
talking about today?
No, I really like the content of what you're saying is great, but I'm just listening to your pacing because you what you did there was you said, and the Barry Robson, very slow, and I was like, oh, he's taking it seriously.
Slowed down, then he went straight back up.
Did I speed up straight away?
You sped up for the middle bit, which was,
right
which was the interlocker between the two sentences. So for people who don't speak English as a first language, you're a barrier to entry.
Then
and that's another reason why we're killing the show.
Of the American girl accent came back as well.
My brain goes too fast for my mouth.
Your brain speaks to your mouth fast.
It goes too quickly, and I can't do it all at once.
Do you know what? No, you said this to me in your job interview.
Did I?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a humble brag, that, isn't it? I'm too clever for my own mouth.
It is a bit, isn't it? Yeah. I think that's true, yeah.
I don't come across like that.
What about you? What happens in your brain?
Not a lot.
Not a lot?
Not today. I don't feel like I've said anything of note today.
Are you hungry?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. Well, listen, there we go. That was Aberdeen.
Ended on a humble brag. Don't want that.
No, you can end on something else if you want.
No, it's
what
fine.
about? Well, listen, we've announced the show's ending today. Do you want to end on your favourite memory?
When I wore all the shirts.
Yeah.
Mostly when I
knew you were going to say that. That's funny.
All the best ones were ones where we can't stop laughing at things.
Yeah, all that stuff gets cut out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is my favourite.
Yeah. What about you, Reuben? I know you only remember back 6 weeks. But what's your favourite memory?
My favourite memory of this show.
Is it when you told me that the show got better when I went away? That was funny.
That was funny. I was very proud of that.
That was good. I was proud of you.
Making my debut, I think. Proud moment for me and my family.
There we go. Yeah. Well, there you go, Mr. Pinder. Congratulations. He's a fine baby. Yeah. Delightful. Steve Hankey, favourite memory for you?
I think I was thinking about Cafetiere Gate. That was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, Cafetiere Gate.
That was good.
Though I have watched the dressing room halftime speech about 20 times this week.
Oh yeah, the dressing rooms from last week.
I did show that to a few people.
I like that bit. Yeah.
That was. What was the thing, John, about the salmon in the bath? That was a weird one.
Salmon in the bath.
That was me.
That was you.
Pet salmon in the bath.
Well, it's like if you have, it's to do with like we're discussing the mermaid laws today, when it's okay to kill your pet to eat it. That was what we were talking about.
Yeah, that was it.
Because if you have a pet cow, again, I'll bring it up. If you have a cow and it's your pet and you love the cow, but you kill it to eat it, that's fine. But if it was a dog, they think you were mental.
It's just a social thing, like which animals have been properly domesticated, etc.
Mermaid. If you keep a mermaid as a pet, does that mean
Are you seriously saying you would eat a mermaid?
No, well, it depends what bit of the mermaid. Well, no, I don't want to eat any of it.
What if the mermaid tasted just like salmon?
I don't want to eat a mermaid.
No, but what if it tasted like salmon?
Well, I still don't want to eat it.
What if it was already dead and it tasted like salmon and you
you
didn't have any other food?
I don't know where.
What if your alternative was you were going to die if you didn't eat the mermaid that was already dead?
Well, then I would eat the mermaid.
Oh, JJ Bull said he'd eat a mermaid. That's disgusting. Didn't you know that's cannibalism?
The top half.
Oh, it might be, yeah.
Pesca cannibalism.
Yeah, exactly. Pesca cannibalism. Now, Jamie, what about you? What's your favourite memory?
This one.
Yeah, when he spoke for the first and last time. There he was.
We've still got loads of shows to do before we kill it.
No, we're going to have new memories every week. Yeah. I'm only doing it because you felt bad about the humble brag.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah. But I brought it up again.
And I like talking about what animals you can and cannot eat.
Yeah.
And I don't like talking about that either.
One more. Say one more animal. No, just one word, animal only, and we'll decide whether you can or can't eat it.
Dragon.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, especially if it's those Game of Thrones ones. Stupid, aren't they?
Meaty.
Yeah, meaty. Smoky. All right, there we go. That's the end. Not forever, just for today. There are 6 more episodes, and then there's a live show. Remember to check the link in the description wherever you're listening to this. There'll be a link for you to go and purchase a ticket. It's going to be fun, accessible to all. Looking at you because you look like you're about to say something.
No,
he's not going to say anything. What about you? You got anything to say? No, nothing to say. Well, there we go. Fine. In which case, that's the end of the Tifo Football Podcast for today. We'll be back again next week with more. But until then, Au revoir, bienvenue, and tschüss.